Howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Dirt Info podcast. This week, Carter recaps his travels, and I talk Granite City. We give our takes on last week's news and notes, the upcoming Dairyland Showdown, the debut of the Northern Lights Modified Series, and recap the rest of a busy week ahead before, as always, sending you home with one for the road.
And if you could just make sure to like on whatever you're watching on. I think you can leave a review on Spotify actually too. So
Ooh,
or maybe that's
I'm
yeah, I think you can actually. And I know you
huh?
can on Apple, so maybe a review would be cool too.
Scared
Um,
about that, but let it fly, I
yeah,
guess.
that is true. It could be a bad review.
We'll
Um,
risk it.
but with that, I guess I can talk about my shirt. That's what we do first, right?
Yeah, what's the name of the segment though?
Oh,
Come on.
styling and profiling.
There we go. Styling
Um,
and profiling.
I got a 2023 Falls Frenzy shirt on from Fairbury, and I believe so that this is their fall special at Fairbury.
Mhm.
And I think in 2023 it was a World of Outlaw late model show because they moved it. I remember being kind of annoyed because it's usually a 2-day show and they moved it to a 1-day show for the Outlaws. Um, but I mean, at least you got more big names there when I went. But
Yeah,
yeah, this is
yeah.
usually a staple on my schedule up until this year. I had to take it off due to another race, unfortunately. But
Oh, maybe
hopefully,
they'll
hopefully,
see.
hopefully I can go back. I still got my reserve seats. I still renewed them, even though I know I'm not going. So I'm that guy.
Oh no! Now you're gonna get us a bad review. Anyway, well, so I have on a Dairyland Showdown shirt from an event I wasn't even at. So this would have been for the 2023 event, and it had the 2022 champion of Mike Marlar on it.
Can you
But
pull it up a little higher?
oh
There you
yeah,
go. Now
yeah.
you can
This is
see it.
technically the only Mike Marlar shirt I own too. So, um, but yeah, I picked up at a discount bin. I think at last year's Dairyland Showdown. So I got it for cheap, and I've said it multiple times. My shirts are always part of the theme, so we'll probably talk about this race more as we get going. But
Your
first,
oh, real quick, your
oh,
shirt's like my only Shane Sabraski shirt is also an event shirt that he just happened to be at.
hey, it works. Sometimes that's the only way you can get a guy. But there's no doubt about it. This is Mike Marlar on my shirt, so
Yeah,
I'm rocking with it. So, but anyway, this past week, I think the thing I'm most curious about is not even racing. How was the draft? You didn't get drafted,
no, I did
unfortunately,
not.
but
I was waiting all day, waiting for a call, but I never got it.
never
Um,
got it.
yeah, so on Thursday we got there at well, actually we were supposed to get there at noon. But we got there, so we parked at my friend's house, which is 45 minutes away by walking. And we were gonna
Mhm.
walk all the way there because the parking was free. Because once you got closer, it was like $100 to park in
Okay.
the yards. And we were like 5 minutes into our walk, and hopefully my mom doesn't see this, but a random dude drove up and he was like, "Hey, are you guys going to the draft?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, do you want to ride?" And I looked over at my cousin. I was like, "Think this is a good idea?" And he was like, "Screw it, let's do it." And then
Yeah.
we we got a ride and we showed up like 30 minutes earlier than we thought we were going to. So it all
Right
worked
on.
out. I still got my kidneys and whatnot. So
Perfect.
but yeah, we
Yeah.
got there. They opened the doors
Gotta
at
live a
noon.
little.
Exactly. They opened the doors at noon. We went through security, which I thought was going to be more than it was. People were sneaking in like little bottles of alcohol and stuff, but it's Wisconsin, so they
Makes
know what
sense.
they're doing. It's not metal. That's really as long as it's not metal, you're okay. Um, yeah, we got in and then we what did we do? They had a few little things you could do. First thing we did was go, actually, I forgot I got this. First thing we did was go in the NFL shop, and then everything was Packer themed, kind of like it was draft, but it
Yeah.
was in Green Bay. So this was the closest
Hmm.
non-Packer thing I could find was this little
Mini
helmet.
helmet.
And of
Oh, I
course, it's
dig that.
still green and gold, but at least it wasn't a shirt that was like all, I can't wear a
Yeah.
Packer shirt around.
And it's
So
more of an Eagles green than well, like an old school Eagle
yeah,
green than it
I
is a
I
Packers
agree.
green.
It's not
Hmm.
really Packers green. So we got that, and
Hmm.
then it was noon. The draft didn't start till 7 o'clock, so we had time to kill. So we went over. You could see the Lombardi Trophy and take a picture with it. We went and did that, and then right next to that, you could go see all the Super Bowl rings.
Mhm.
So we waited in line for like an hour and did that. Um, which for unfortunately for as you know, for a Viking fan, there isn't much for us to see in
No,
there.
there are no rings for us to see.
No, but then yeah, we did that, and then after that we just waited by the draft stage for about 4 hours. We were like really close because we were over there by like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we could have stayed there, but then after like an hour, we were like our back started killing us from just standing. So we aborted mission and went all the way to the side where there's like a railing to lean. There was a railing to lean on, and it's just way easier to stand when you have something to lean against without your back hurting. So we stood there like the whole time then after that, and we could sit down there and have like a backrest too while we just waited around.
Mhm.
Um, Prices were pretty expensive though for food. My
I
$15
imagine so.
cheeseburger wasn't bad,
Mhm.
but it was $15 burger, and waters were $6. So
Ah, that's the worst.
yeah, but at
That's the
least the
worst.
entry was free, so that was a plus.
Take what you can get, I
But
guess.
then finally, after sitting there for like 4 hours, the draft started. Um, and it was cool. I mean, where we were at, you could see the stage, but they have like, they have like the seated area like right in front of the stage
Mhm.
for, I don't know if it's really rich people or people they invite to sit there. But so like, even if you were front row,
Both.
you were still a ways back from the stage, anyways. So like, we didn't.
Mhm.
That's why we didn't care much about being front row. But we were close enough where you could still see like Roger Goodell walking onto stage and whatnot, and they had screens all over the place, so you could still
Yeah.
see who was getting drafted. I mean, you could hear too, but so that was cool, and we stayed um all the way through pick 29 because my cousin
Okay.
is a Commanders fan, or the commies as I call them, and they were pick 29. But I'm just glad the Vikings didn't trade back. That was my biggest
Yeah,
fear, and they stayed right where they were and took a offensive
a
guard.
guard.
So offensive, yeah, I think left
Yeah.
guard is what he'll play.
Okay.
So it wasn't an exciting pick, but I didn't care as long as they
Okay.
picked someone, I was happy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
To
that
be
was
kind of nerdy, I love it. I love the pick.
yeah, it works
I'm a,
out.
yeah.
I wanted them to take that safety from Georgia, but a couple of years ago they took a safety from Georgia, and that did not work out well. So
It did not work out well. Well, you and my oldest son Xavier both wanted him to take Malachi Starks.
yeah,
So
that's what I wanted.
I heard it all about it the whole time leading up to the pick and the whole time after it. But yeah, the next day he did come back and say, "I see what you're talking about, though. They're building through the lines, which old
Yeah,
ball coach
their
strategy,
their
beef
O
up the
line
lines."
is
Yeah,
assuming the rookie turns out good, their O line is like set now because they got two
yeah.
good tackles already, and then they signed
Hmm.
two guys from free agency who are already good. So as long as the rookie turns out well, JJ McCarthy should have about 3 years in the pocket each play.
Yep.
So
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Xavier likes to say that all JJ McCarthy can do is hand off. I said, then you should love this pick because now they've built an offense where that's all he's got to do, just hand it off.
and
So,
then the one surprising thing of the draft was Shadur Sanders never got taken in the first round or the
yeah,
second
or the
round, third
second,
round,
or the
or the fourth
third.
round. Because yeah,
Yeah.
I know the Giants or not the Giants traded back up into the first and they took Jackson Dart
Hmm.
from Ole Miss. And that was like the one I think big shocker of the draft. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
here comes Sanders. He's off the board. Nope,
No,
he is not.
no, no, no. And I saw he got prank called, and I guess
Yep,
it
I
was
saw
like
that. The
the son
son
of
of
a defensive.
The Falcons defensive coordinator.
Yeah, God.
I
Some
also
people's children, I tell you what.
I also there was a lot of like big content creators and famous people. And if we walked around more, we probably could have seen more. But as we walked in, we saw Kay Adams, who is used to be on Good Morning Football. Now she has her own show. So
Okay.
that was kind of cool. Never took a picture because she had a security guard with her, and she seemed like she was in a hurry. But that was the one
Fair enough.
famous person I saw up close when we were
Right on.
there. So. And
Right on.
I wish I knew there was no connection there for your phone because how many people. So I wasn't sure if Pat McAfee was like where he was at, and then I found out the next day where he was at, and I kind of wish I walked over there to get closer to where his like show was going on.
Yeah.
So that was the one regret, but aside from that, I had a good time. So
Right on. Right on. Well, did you do any racing?
yes. So Friday, unfortunately,
I was like,
Luxembourg rained out again on
yeah,
Friday. Um,
yeah. Oh man.
hopefully they can get in this week. But then Saturday I was at Plymouth. Um, and the racing was going good all the way through like the B mains and then the features, cautions galore. It was
Mm.
you'll have that, I guess.
One of those nights.
Yeah, it's
Spring
one of those.
racing.
But yes, a ton of cautions.
Yeah,
That was really all that happened there. They had a good car count. They had like 100 cars in four classes, which was pretty good for them.
that's
B
solid.
mods had a B main, which they usually don't, and the Grand Nationals, which has been a dying division over here. 141 even dropped them this year. But I think that actually benefited for Plymouth because then they all just
Uh-huh.
went there. So they had like 30 of them, which is I think the highest car count I've seen for them in quite some time. So and I like them, but they also had a lot of cautions. So
Yeah, they're kind of
uh,
fun. I saw them at Luxy
yeah,
when I was there
yeah.
last year.
Unfortunately, I think
Yeah,
when you came, there was only like four of them, but you got to see them at
yeah.
least. So
There's a few more than that, but not many. But they're kind
yeah,
of rad watching going around. I don't know. Maybe that's a less is more thing. Less tracks, more of them at I don't
yeah,
know.
that is true.
Interesting point, but yeah.
But then Sunday, I went to an asphalt track. I went to Slinger Speedway for their season opener, and they had a solid car count as well. I think the late models that were there, they had like 33 of them, which was plenty for me. And then they had 24 cylinders, so that was a big plus as well.
Those are the ones
Um,
you wanted to see.
and
Yeah.
they had figure eights too, and I think they only had eight of them, but the first lap got real crazy. They didn't even hit in the middle, which usually if there's a figure eight wreck, that's what you'd think it'd be.
Yeah.
It was just they went up into like the first turn of it, and
Mhm.
some dude just went flying into the wall like right away. I was like, oh, okay, well there goes. And then another guy was involved. Yeah, it was very interesting. It was an entertaining figure eight race, but yeah, I'm usually you'd think they'd crash in the middle where they typically crash in a
You
figure eight
think?
race, but no, it was the turn there. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed Slinger, and it's nice. The one plus side with asphalt tracks is they can race in the day, so I was home by like
Yeah.
7:30 and could still do stuff at night, which is a plus. Um, and then I also want to mention I met Brian Davis Keith is his name. He runs the Track Chaser like website and Facebook group, and I've mentioned before that I got my list on there now.
Yeah.
Um, but I met him. He was there. I think that was like his 430th track or something like that. But he's from Virginia, and I met him Saturday at Plymouth, but I was streaming, so I didn't have a ton of time to talk to him.
Yeah.
And that was actually his third race of the day, was at Plymouth. He was at
Oh wow.
some like backyard four-cylinder thing, and then after that he went to an asphalt track, came up to
Oh.
Plymouth, watched the heats at Plymouth, and then drove over to 141. And since again they had 200 plus cars, he was able to catch heats and all the B mains and features there, which worked out for him. Um,
Yeah.
then Sunday Slinger was the only option, and he was there, and me and Ryan were able to talk to him for a good while. Unfortunately, he had a flight to catch to go back to Virginia at 3:30, and they were not going to be done
Uh,
at 3:30. So he's able to watch like half the show. But yeah, just wanted to shout out him. He was nice to meet him and learn a bit more of the rules and the track chaser stuff. There's a lot of rules in there that I'm not going to get into, but you can get some tracks in some strange ways if you wanted to.
well, I mean, the backyard four-cylinder thing was
It's
yeah,
still a
raised an
racetrack.
eyebrow, raised
I'll,
an
I'll say
eyebrow on its own,
I'll say one of them. So like technically you could build like a track in your backyard if it's like obviously you have room, and if you have like three friends or two friends and like that race, like it has to be like a vehicle. It can't be like motorcycles or ATVs.
Okay.
Or it could be a UTV though. But if they had like a race, if they had a race like a start and then an end to it, that would
Okay.
count as a track. And then if you wanted to, you could go to your other buddy's house and do the same thing, and that
And
would
do the
also
same
be
thing.
but he said if someone like got to the point where to the extreme of doing that, where they're just I got 100 tracks just talking to different buddies, like they'd probably put a rule on it, but nobody's really done that yet. So if it gets to that point, there may be a limitation on that. But as of now,
Uh,
that could technically be a new track. So
all right, good to know. I mean, I could probably get some tiny little track back there and a couple of UTVs. I might just have enough room. My crazy neighbor probably would lose her mind over it, but that's a whole other thing. But anyway, yeah. So I like pomp and circumstances, so I'm not counting that as a race or finding that one. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
I
I mean
want to be where everybody is.
everyone does it differently. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
you can
yeah.
count tracks however
No,
you want. So,
I
but yeah,
appreciate it. I'm just giving you a hard time. But right on, right on. Well, I did go racing, and there is not in a backyard. There were more than 3 cars. But anyway, I went to Granite City for their season opener. It was pretty fun. That's like a second home almost because they run on Sundays. So whenever I just want to go racing, low key, like it's so easy to just get up to Granite City. It's an hour away, which is as close as the racetrack gets for me. I don't have closer than an hour, so for me that's a quick jaunt. But anyway, it's up by St. Cloud. I went to college up by it, so it's an easy drive. I'm very familiar with that drive. So count it as like a second home. Anyway, but it was fun to go up there. I don't even remember the car count. It wasn't a ton of cars. It was just fun night of racing. Although I walked in and Sherry and I were getting in our seats and Kyle Hall is the announcer there. And he has a podcast After the Checkers with Kyle Hall, which I was a guest on that almost about a year ago now, give or take. But anyway, um, so he sees me rolling in and he says over the loudspeaker, he's like, all right, before we get too far going, I want people to grab out their phone and do 2 things. I want you to follow After the Checkers with Kyle Hall, and I want you to follow DirtInfo because they also have a podcast, and it's adding to the racing content around here. So definitely go give them a follow, which I totally appreciated. Now, didn't get another follower out of it, but I appreciate him saying it. It is the thought that counts. He cannot control others'
all
actions.
the fans there already followed. That's why they couldn't.
Yeah, that's what it was. Or they all rolled their eyes like, "Oh, this freaking guy! Oh, he's freaking here!" So it could go either way. It really could. But anyway, saw a couple of first wins. So Tommy Bodden has like I think I started a comment thread on something, but so I'm thinking to these as I'm going. But I think Tommy Bond has 99 wins in a Mod 4, but he got his first Super Stock win uh, on Sunday at Granite City, and he beat Shane and he beat Dexton. So kind of
Was
like
that,
a
do
solid
you
field.
know, was that technically his like 100th Wisoda win then? Or do you
I
know if he won in anything
You're getting
else?
way too in the weeds for me there. I don't know. I got caught up in something and I'm citing some facts some people have given me, but I don't know a ton. I'm out of my depth here. But it could have been his 100th. I'm not sure. But and then Rowan Tram won the Mod 4 feature. Speaking of Mod 4s, Rowan Tram won that. And my guy was out there with duct tape numbers going so fast that the duct tape numbers were starting to come off. And he won. He had all the contingency stickers, black body and white duct tape numbers, and my guy won. And he won, and he was he was railing that thing around the top for them as high as they could get. And there was like last year's I think like national champ was there, and this guy wins a lot. And so to see him hold him off, it was pretty neat. I cheered hard when he got the win for sure. Underdog definitely. So that was pretty cool. And then Blake Adams won the mod feature. Uh, and I think that was his third modified win, like third A mod win,
Yeah, I know he
and
had one at Cedar Lake
second.
for sure.
Yeah, I think they're calling that unsanctioned.
Oh
And
yeah, that's true.
then he run one at Rice Lake possibly
Oh,
this
probably
weekend.
probably
Yeah.
Saturday. I want to say too,
Okay.
I was tuned in on Dirt Race Central for Sunday at Granite City.
Were you?
So yeah, so I should.
Sherry was convinced we were on TV.
Oh, I wasn't
I
watching
said
that
I don't
hard,
think
so
so.
yeah, I don't know. But I did the
Yeah, I
mod
said I don't
feature. I
think so.
know Sabraski and Adams were getting after it for a little bit there, if I
Yep.
remember. And then a caution
Yep.
came out, I think, and kind of ended that, I
Yeah.
think, if I remember right.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. Blake Adams got some grace on the restarts. I feel like he jumped almost all of them. They called one back, and I feel like he jumped that one too. but yeah, he held off Shane for the win. But Shane was giving him all he had. But um, I don't know. I like the track. It passing. It seems hard to pass on it some days. Today was one of them, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential there. I still trying to make heads or tails of it, but it's close, and there's a lot of good races I've seen there. So anyway, I
I
don't know
did
why I'm saying that,
when I
but
turned it on, I did see I guess I don't know what they call it, the thing that's on like the back of like a tractor that packs the
oh
track.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There
I
were
turned
some
it on.
opening day jitters. I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, the pack wagon that they
Yeah,
hold. Yeah,
it
came off.
came off and was just on. I saw him towing it off the front
Yep,
stretch, and then
yep,
it like dug into the track. I saw. I was like, oh, that's not
yeah,
great. But it
yeah.
was on. They got it all packed back in, so it was fine.
Yeah, yeah, and I actually followed those Cardinal guys the whole way up to the track until until I stopped off to get Val's. That's like a must stop when I go up there. There's this little burger joint called Val's. You can get a double cheeseburger with bacon and like a whole sack full of fries for like $7 a person. It's
Yeah,
super cheap and
that's
it's super
basically
good.
one water at the draft. So
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, me and Sherry ate for the cost of your singular cheeseburger, and ours was fantastic. But anyway, so yeah, we followed, but the tow truck ended up having to put like the harness on it and wheel it down into the infield.
well,
So,
that stuff will
yeah,
happen. I know one
yeah,
time at Outagamie Speedway, the tractor broke down on like the front stretch, and you can't race with the tractor there, and that took a little bit to get off the track. The tow trucks were not strong enough to pull a huge tractor off the track, so that was a bit of
mhm,
some downtime. But you'll have that happen. You never know with
yeah,
track equipment and stuff. So
yeah. Honestly, it's to me, it's part of the appeal a little bit. Like, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into putting on these productions. A
yeah.
lot of little things got to go right. Sometimes shit just happens, you know, and it doesn't make sense to get bent out of shape or run down a track or something about it. Like, I promise you, they didn't want it to happen either. Like, no part of their script, if you will, was like have this breakdown on track, you know. So
Yeah,
I
there's so many small things that some people just
yeah,
don't realize when it comes to putting on a show. Whether it's ordering food and then you take out the food and it's all thought out, and then you have to cancel, and then your foods might be
yeah.
junk or so. There's so many small things that go into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if everyone could have it go perfectly right, they would. No, I promise you, no, it's not for a lack of effort most of the time. I don't want to rule 100%, right? But most of the time, it's not for a lack of effort. It's just,
If it was just show up on race day and start racing, I think there'd be a lot more promoters out there.
that's for sure. That's for sure. So, yeah, I try not to get too feathers up on any of that stuff. You know what I mean? It's part of the appeal a little bit of why we're going. I got a giggle out of it, and I accidentally sent it to you in a DM instead of posting it in the Discord. So I had a senior moment with it, but yeah, it's just it happens. But yeah, I don't know. I had a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun. I always do, and I was home before 11, which for me is about bedtime anyway. So like I got home in enough time to go to sleep. So it worked out good for me. So anyway, so that's what we did. I think we both were watching Lucas on Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You'd made a comment. I want I want to hear it again. But
I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something along of somehow Georgetown puts on like banger races, and it just looks like a track that would not be entertaining.
hmm
Like,
Yeah. No, I hear that. I agree with the entire sentiment. I sort of threw out when we were talking like the flat and wide theory. There are some tracks that are just flat and wide, like Brownstown is pretty flat and wide, and some of those Illinois bull rings are pretty flat and wide. And it's just they put on
or
banger races.
even in like the sprint car world, like Knoxville, flat and wide, and it
Yeah,
often you get some good races. There's so
yeah.
many tracks that just I don't know, flat, wide, especially like longer, like a half mile. I don't think Georgetown's a half mile. I could be wrong. It's
I
a
think
bigger,
it might have been.
it's
It
it's a
looked
bigger track. Yeah, it
huge.
is a big track. Yeah, just usually it's like when I see those, it's like, oh, this will be a stinker. And then Georgetown was really good. It was the best
Yeah, it
week
was.
of best race, I believe, of the whole weekend for Lucas. So,
Heck yeah, yeah. And Devin Moran held off Thornton. I
yep.
mean, Moran was towards the end there. It looked like he was going to get him, but no, he held on to the end. And this whole swing had two of the days had huge payouts. That was a $20,049 win. Um, but yeah, Thornton was second. Alberson had a good weekend overall. He was
Yep.
third at Georgetown. And then Hagerstown was kind of Thornton just sort of ran away with it, if my memory serves
Yeah, I
correctly.
didn't see any of that one, but I would believe that.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't memorable. If I'm wrong, if my old man brain is wrong, correct me. But I don't recall it being much. But Thornton ran away with 25,000, another fairly large payday. Alberson was second. Wilson was third, and then Port Royal I missed because I was at Granite. Granite's on a Sunday, so. Um, but 10,000. Thornton I think just drove away with that too,
Yeah,
right?
I
Yep.
was able to catch the feature of that. I got home early enough, and yeah, Thornton was pretty much gone. Like no one was catching him. I think a caution came out like with less than 10 laps to go, and in that short period, he put on like a 3.5 second lead on that final restart. Like that's how much faster he was than everyone else. So
Hmm. Right on. Right on. Yeah, and then Davenport was second, Moran was third. You had reminded me right before the show, we've stopped doing as many points updates now that there's like actual real racing, but notably Alberson moved into the top four
yep,
in Lucas, which would qualify him for the like final five races or whatever deal they do. So that is, I mean, that is a noteworthy thing, and he moved Overton out, I
yep.
believe.
He
Yeah.
went past Overton, and then there's someone else that's like right there with Overton, and I wish I could remember who it was, but
Alton Wilson, I feel like might be one. He
I
seems to
that
be up there
sounds
towards the
that
front.
sounds right. Yeah, but
Yeah,
there's like two that are like right there, behind
okay,
Elberson. Although not as
okay,
close now after the weekend he had,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. And maybe it's not Dalton, but I don't know. That's the name that jumps out. Oh, also, we were both wrong. Turbo was at Lucas.
yeah. I blame the weather though, because based
I
off his
played weather
Facebook
too.
post and his schedule on My Race Pass, his schedule had both the Mars races and the Spring Nationals races, but obviously
Yep,
they Spring Nationals rained out completely, and Mars got only one in. So
yep, yep. I think given that he ended up in like Delaware or Maryland or wherever they were, he was definitely going to be in West Virginia had it. I'm just
uh,
saying I was closer to being right.
I didn't see any proof of that, so uh, can't 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 get on board with that.
Right on, right on. Well, they race again, so maybe we'll find out more. Although I think we'll probably touch on him, but um so Lucas is up again this weekend, Circle City for 15,000, and then Florence for the Ralph Latham Memorial for 25,000, and then the Northern All Stars Modifieds are there in support, and I think that's $1,500. So, um, I suppose there'll be probably a whole mess of cars at Florence.
Yeah, I'd say so. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know what else is going on either. Nothing that I really saw. So probably
me too,
plenty of
bud.
plenty of drivers will probably make their way there. And Florence always seems to get a pretty good car count, even for like non-Lucas shows. They usually get like 20 to 30, it seems like. So
Yeah. And honestly, Florence is one of the tracks, one of the only tracks on the schedule. There may be a couple other that I'm not thinking right off the top of my head. Anyway, where a local has a legit shot of winning. Josh Rice, like, always has a shot of winning at
yeah,
Florence when these guys are all through. So that always makes it a little bit more of a thrill. I think he won this race within the last handful of years. This,
that sounds
oh,
right to me.
yeah,
He's won something at Florence. I don't think it was the North-South, so it's probably this one.
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, yeah. So I think I remember that back when I was doing when DirtInfo was doing dirt draft preview articles where I'd like break down driver salaries and like those were so fun. That was so nerdy. Like a lot of work for three people to read, but man, was it fun. It was so nerdy. Anyway, continuing on. Blast from the past there. Uh so Mars got speaking of Mars, when we were talking about Turbo, Mars got one of two in. So that was just the Saturday show at Peoria. Um, Unziger won in the late models. I think he started way back.
14th, yeah.
14th. Okay.
He was
Yeah.
the final. He was in the final transfer spot of his heat, so he
Okay.
just avoided a B main. But yeah, he started
Yeah.
pretty far back, and obviously in late models, there's people say there's not as much passing, but he had no
Yeah.
issues. So
He came forward, and I think somewhat early enough in the race where he was like, he wasn't like a last lap pass or anything. I think
yeah,
he was up there for a good chunk of the race. He got that bad boy whipped into shape after the heat and just drove her straight to the front. So, That was pretty cool. Fager was second. Mike Spatola was third.
And
Um,
McKinney was ninth, I believe. Or was it ninth?
he
McKinney
said
was 13th, might have been
13th.
13th. I think he started ninth
13th.
and finished
Okay.
13th. That's what it was. And
Yep.
that was his. I think the news came out after we recorded last week, but him and Daniel Adam kind of like switched spots.
Squad spots. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Daniel Adams not in McKinney's mod, but Daniel Adams in a mod now, and McKinney's in the late model. So
Yep. And speaking of, Adams finished 17th in the mod there, so at least put in the feature.
yeah, he's in the show.
Something. Yeah, yeah. So speaking of mods, Michael Ledford won $2,098. He might have won a little bit other lap money, but he didn't lead many of them. I'll tell you that. Cole Falloway, who came home second, led the majority of those laps. So Cole took home a lot of the lap money. And then Kyle Hammer was third. That was a pretty entertaining finish. The three cars coming to the line, one top, one bottom, and one in the middle. And Ledford was the one digging the ditch on the bottom, and he just snookered him right around the bottom to win it. So Hammer was putting on a show, snakes and sparklers. I think Jerry Van Sinkle says up
Yeah,
on the up on the outside. He was scraping and sparks flying. So it was pretty entertaining finish to the race. But yeah. So those guys go again, actually, and for a big chunk of change.
oh yeah, Friday at Kankakee is 5,000. I know there's another number in there,
Yeah,
5,000 and something. I
94.
94
5,094, yeah.
at Kankakee, and then Saturday they're at Red Hill Speedway. Is that just 2,000 or they got a
That's
number
just
on there?
2,000.
Okay,
Yeah,
Red
that's
Hill
2,000.
on Saturday, and Red Hill's a bigger track. Most of the tracks seems like are quarter miles and stuff, but Red Hill's a bit bigger. So
Okay. For some reason, I had in my head that was also like a tiny little thing.
no,
Shows what I know. Sometimes you just don't remember them, right? But anyway, speaking of modifieds, real quick, Heartland Modified Tour got one of two shows in at Salt City, I believe, on Friday, and it was 2,500 to win, and Tanner Mullins won that over Peyton Phillips, and Dean Willie finished third. I saw on social media that Mullins says that's his favorite track.
oh really?
So
That's a big
yeah,
track too.
yeah, he said it's his favorite track. So I don't know if it's a
I would
hometown
that
thing
would
or
have not
what, but
been I would have not guessed there. I don't know where I would have guessed, but I can promise you it would have not been Salt City.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's just home,
Yeah.
like so. Yeah, yeah. So, but I thought that was kind of neat. The other big result from this past weekend, and man, did we whiff on this one on car count. But World of Outlaws was in Talladega for the Alabama Gang 100, and we went 100 laps on the feature. We only ran Saturday, and yeah, Bobby Pierce won that. It was kind of, I mean, it was entertaining for a bit, but it rubbered pretty fast. You had kind of hinted you were worried about that
Yeah,
last
100
week.
laps there
Yeah,
might be
yeah,
an issue. And yeah,
yeah.
we whiffed on the car count because it rained Friday. That's what we'll go with.
There is that. I saw someone had mentioned that they wouldn't be there because they were concerned, one, about the weather, but two, also about the pit conditions. So like the concern was leaving more so than I think the weather. So I don't take it for what it's worth. But but yeah. So anyway, but speaking of the World of Outlaws, so they're kind of the headliner this week. We mentioned Lucas up top, but for me personally, they're the headliner, and also from a purse standpoint, they're the headliner. So they got the Dairyland Showdown this weekend at Mississippi Thunder. See? Shameless plugger. I will be in attendance for the Saturday show, which is $75,000 to win. So it's a big purse up top. And then they're going 10,000 on Thursday and 10,000 on Friday. So just a boatload of cash up for this. And then the Northern Lights Modified Series are going to be there in support too, and this is their opener of their season. So, but before I nerd out on that real quick, Mississippi Thunder is important to me because that's the first time I met you.
Yep, right way. That's the right way.
Yeah. But that was the first time we met. This time last year, on a
And it,
whim, I
yeah, it
was there.
wasn't even supposed to happen. I was supposed to be at
Yeah.
Plymouth that day, and they rained out really early that day.
Yeah.
And I remember Mississippi Thunder. They said they were going to make a decision at noon. I remember too, and I was like, it was like a waiting game just to see if I could even go there. Um, but it all worked out. I drove through rain the entire time to get there, but then I got there and it
Yeah.
wasn't dry. The parking lot certainly wasn't dry, but the track
No.
wasn't a mud pit, so it worked out.
No, it worked out. That was really cool. Um, yeah, I kind of I did the opposite. I was well, not really the opposite. Blind faith like you did. I just was like, I planned it on going to this thing. I'm gonna go like I would normally go. They're gonna probably make a call on my way, and if I have to turn around, I have to turn around. But yeah, I showed up. I was super early, went in the pits. I think I made like a fool of myself trying to talk to Big Boy or Jason Fromelt. Because my approaches are terrible sometimes, man. I'm just like, "How are you?" So if anyone watching gets that, I'm sorry. I'm just, it's, I'm working on it. That's all I can say. But anyway, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And then yeah, you came and my first impression of you is Sherry's first impression of you, quite frankly, because like the first time you went to go do something, but you had asked a bunch of questions you got there. Anyway, long story short, she's like, "Oh my God, he's so nice, he's so impressive, he's he's so kind, he's so," and I'm just like, "All right, Sherry, I got it." So, but anyway, yeah, she is a big fan of you, my friend. Just uh, I don't know. It's the one thing that sticks out. I trust her read on people so much too. I think that's why it's so. She's my girl. But anyway, I'm getting a little goofy. But the long and short, that's part of why MTS is kind of a cool track. And also, I was there when like a tornado broke out nearby once. I was there for a USMTS event in September, and they stopped the feature mid race, and they just kind of parked them all in the infield, and like people were putting stuff over the intakes and stuff, and the wind was howling, things were blowing everywhere, a bunch of people left, but they never said that the race was over. So we kind of hung out. Like I have a video when I'm out in the parking lot just like filming the sky, and it's just going nuts. And yeah, it turns out like a tornado wasn't too far away. And the wind was wild. But anyway, it blew over, a little bit of rain. They ran the track in and finished the feature.
Well,
So,
a good thing the tornado didn't hit, because if you're a driver and
yeah.
you're just stuck in the infield,
Uh,
that
I
would not
don't
be
think it
great.
was that close. And to be honest, I don't know for sure. I believe my research was that there was activity in the area, right? So
Oh,
take that
gotcha.
for what it's worth. But I don't know how nearby, and I don't want to imply that they were being reckless in any way, right? But I obviously wasn't scared. I stuck around. And I am a seasoned Minnesota dad. I know how to stand in the driveway, stare at the clouds, and make an educated decision if I need to be worried or not. I was teaching the youngest today. He went outside on the front step. I'm like, "You're doing it wrong, man. You got to walk to the end of the driveway, almost in the street. That way you can be in as much danger as possible." Anyway.
Yeah, hold a big metal pole up while you're out there too.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I digress. But no, the late models are always going to be a banger there. MTS always puts on a show for the late models. When we were there last year, Bobby Pierce led like a good chunk of it, and then I believe Gustin blew around the top right around him at one point and ended up winning. So it was a very decent race.
When we
But
were
like
there too, oh, so when we were there too, I don't remember who he got into, but Tyler Erb got into somebody when we were there too. I don't know if you remember that or not, but he got into someone.
uh
It was early in the
I
race, I think. Something happened there. Some Tyler Erb drama
I,
happened.
I don't recall that, but I do feel like that's where Herb's going to be. By the way, I
I
think
could
he's
see
going to
it.
be. Yep.
As long as I don't know what the weather's like, that's probably the only thing that would change his
Yeah.
mind. So
Well, I was looking, and as of now, once by the time this comes out, a few days ago, it was pretty gross over there. But it looks, assuming that works out, like admittedly, we're filming while it's happening, so we don't know. But we're gonna go on faith that everything was breaking up and it's all good. But yeah, after that day, it looks clean, looks no rain, nice weather. So hopefully, by the time we get there. So, but anyway, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was kind of excited about the Northern Lights modified series debuting, mostly just because with USMTS having been off for a few weeks now, and none of the other regional series running, I think we're going to get a USMTS caliber field for this opener. I wouldn't be surprised to see 35 plus cars. And I don't know, guys like Sorensen might bust out a mod while they're
Oh,
there. If
yeah.
Dillard shows up, he's bringing a mod probably for sure.
Jake
I mean,
Tim.
because Jake Tim will probably bust out the mod because I mean, they have the modified world championship here at the end of May, so in just a few weeks, so there are not many more opportunities. This is their first event of the season. They've been rained out up
Yeah.
till now, so it's like the first chance to get on the track. So I bet we're gonna get an interesting field of cars. I mean, and the locals are already just so tough. Like Brendan Davis and Lucas Schott, like they could win any of these races, you know what I mean? Like, and they're the locals, but they're just that good. And I wouldn't be shocked to see the Chisholm show up. I don't know. I'm excited for it because I think it'll be an interesting field. The late models, as we've made jokes many times before, Outlaws roll 25 deep, and I know pretty much a good field of the cars that'll be there, and it'll be a solid show for them. But the mods have an opportunity to surprise, so I'm definitely looking forward to that too a little bit. So. But anyway, that's what I'm doing racing. What are you doing racing?
My weekend is pretty much the same as almost the exact same as last weekend. It's Luxembourg Friday. Hopefully they've gotten rained out twice. Seems like every Friday track in Wisconsin has gotten
Yeah.
rained out. Even Mississippi Thunder, and they're 4 hours
Yeah.
away. So,
Yep.
and then Plymouth Saturday, and then Sunday. It's not Slinger, but I'm going to another asphalt track. I'm going to Madison Speedway, Madison International Speedway, I think's the name.
Okay.
And they have it's like ASA Midwest Tour. There's ASA like National Tour, which like Bubba Pollard, who I assume you've heard of. He
Yes.
runs, yeah, so he runs like
Yep.
the national one, and this is kind of like the step below. But
Region one.
they get, I think they, I don't, they, I think they posted the car count. I don't remember what it was, but it was plenty of cars. But it's a 200 lap race, I believe. So I don't know, I don't know how that'll be. I think that's the longest race I've seen. They also have the trucks there as well. They have a Midwest truck tour, and they got like
Okay.
30. I know they have 33 of those. So it should be a plenty big car count. And from what I was told, it's a show you would like because they do all they can to really draw it out, and they
All
got
right.
dry out of car intros, all that fun stuff, which I don't love. I would love to be
Oh,
to
yeah. You're there for a show. Enjoy the freaking show, Carter. Are you not entertained? It's entertainment.
But yeah, I think so qualifying starts like I don't know when it starts. It's like noon or something, but I think I have to get up at like 7:30 or 7 a.m. or something to go to an asphalt race, which is I'm not a morning person, so that's gonna kind of suck. So, but yeah, once I get there, I'll be fine.
Uh,
But yeah, so
yeah.
that'll be a new track for me too. So there's that.
Right on. Right on. Right on. Things you do for track chasing, I guess, huh?
Not to the extent of some, but I do want to hit every like weekly track in Wisconsin, and they're one of them.
Okay.
So I got like five more to
Yeah.
go after this one.
Oh, right on. You think you're gonna get it done this year or probably not?
No,
No.
probably not. I know for dirt, I only have two left or three left. TNT Speedway, Wilmot, which has like I was supposed to be at Wilmot last year and it rained, and then Lafayette County Speedway, which is like right near Dubuque. It's in Wisconsin, but it's like right over there. So, and then
Okay.
a few asphalt tracks. I don't remember which ones, but
Right on. Right on. Hmm. Well, we're gonna have to follow that story as this podcast develops. But but yeah. Anyway, so outside of the things we're going to be doing, a quick rundown of some other series and shows that we've been keeping track for y'all. But the Modified Mafia is at County Line Speedway for 2,500 to win. Another solid paying UMP show. These guys have been drawing pretty good, so I wouldn't be shocked to see 30 plus cars there. They've been impressing me with their car count so far this season. But and then on the late model side, we've got Hunt the Front Super Dirt Series at Livonia for 10,000, and then they're at Cherokee for 20,000, I
do you
believe.
know what's the date on the Cherokee one? Do you know? Is it like a
I think
Sunday?
it's Saturday. I think it's
Oh, okay.
Saturday.
I know sometimes they
Yeah,
have some Sunday races, but then I know they have Saturday too. So I was
yeah, I
curious.
think it's Saturday. I even double checked because I was curious if it was a Friday Saturday split, but it's not. It's a Friday or a Friday Sunday split, but it's not. It's Friday Saturday. So they're,
Gotcha.
then- yep. So, um,
Spring
Cherokee,
Nationals. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, I was just thinking. I was trying to think who might be at Cherokee. You might see a Chris Madden. Might see a
Yep,
Chris
I
Madden
could
for
see that.
20K. Yep, yep, yep. So, but
Bet you'll
anyway,
see.
spring net.
I bet Joseph Joyner will be there.
I bet Joseph. I was trying to think of guys not onto it. Chris Ferguson possibly too, right?
Ferguson.
So
Yep.
yeah, Jimmy Owens, but he's on tour.
Yeah. See, he hasn't missed a World of Outlaw race, but he
He
also hasn't missed a
hasn't.
Hunt the Front race either. So
Oh man, decisions. We'll figure out which way Jimmy's going this weekend, huh?
he podiumed
Weather
at
considering.
Talladega this last
He
weekend.
did.
So
He
maybe
did.
he'll stick with World of Outlaws.
Maybe he's fighting his way back in. Um, oh, speaking of World of Outlaws, that's where Marler was too. By the way, we had kind of taken stock of where
Oh,
Marler,
yep.
like Marler might show up last week. He was with the Outlaws. I bet he's going to be here. I mean, him and Turbo, the fun tour's coming to Wisconsin, buddy. Anyway, but yeah, Spring Nationals, as you mentioned before, Sugar Creek Raceway. Any guesses where that's at?
Georgia.
Nailed it. Look at you,
I
Blue Ridge, Georgia.
don't know anything about the track. I've heard the name and that's it.
That was pretty good. That's 7,500 and
53.
nailed it. And then and then Dixie Speedway the next night on Saturday for 10,000 and
53. That one's in Georgia
no.
too, right?
Yeah, that was in
Okay.
Georgia as well. Yeah. Yeah. And then kind of like a weird thing based on our production schedule, Illinois Speed Weeks starts not this weekend, but next Tuesday.
Yep.
So
What is it? I don't know the exact day on that. May something.
May what did I didn't write it down. May 6th, Tuesday, May
May
6th. I did
6th.
write it
Yeah.
down.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
yeah,
we'll we'll be recording before it happens, but the episode will be out after it
yeah,
happens. So
yeah.
it's in a
So
weird
I'm
spot for
actually
us.
yeah. I was just wanting to mention I'm if that snuck up on me, I'm excited for that. That Tuesday show is like LaSalle.
Yep.
So so that
And
that track's kind of coming back online with that show. So that should be pretty neat.
and I went to Illinois Speed Weeks the first year it happened. And LaSalle obviously wasn't a part of it then. But that was one of my favorite racing trips I've ever been on. Like every night was good. Like I mean, it's all Illinois bull rings, and
Yeah.
those are some of my
Yeah.
favorite tracks. So,
Yeah.
and they get big
LaSalle's
fields, really big fields usually. So,
there's nothing competing with him. Lucas runs the back half of it, but there's no competing Woo show at all,
oh,
or Outlaw show at
perfect.
all. Yeah, so like it's choice. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a fun week, and it's all 20 grand or more, I
Yeah,
think. So it's just crap. Anyway, we'll talk more about it next week, but we just, given the timing of how our episodes come out, we just wanted to give everyone a heads up that that's something that we're keeping an eye on too. But anyway, Carter, I think that's all of our talkers for today. That means it's time for.
the one for the road, and my one for the road is also something that falls on a weird spot for us. So at Clay County Speedway, I know in a few weeks or end of May they have like a really big show, but this upcoming Sunday and Monday they have a 5,000 to win stock car show. And they have a few other classes with like boosted pay. I got the thing right here. So Sunday it's 1,000 to win for stock cars and mods, and then some extra pay for the sport mods, hobby stocks, and sport compacts. But then Monday it's 5,000 to win for the stock cars and 2,000 for the mods, and then boosted pay for the other three. And it's actually I didn't realize it's a Dirt Crown race, which it's like a series more in the Nebraska, Western Iowa
Mhm.
area, which I guess this would fall into Western Iowa. And I think it originally was just stock cars, but they've kind of added like a Dirt Crown, like hobby stock, modified sport mod series, which I didn't realize that this was part of that. But yeah, 5,000 win stock cars. So I'm assuming you'll get a pretty good feel for that. And there's nothing, I don't think there's anything really competing with it on a Monday. So they should be okay.
Should be all right.
I think I heard Cole Sharneski from my area is going down or over there. So there's at
Okay.
least one guy making the trip. So
Right on. Right on. Interestingly enough, my one for the road is also stock cars. So we do try to talk about the stalkers whenever we can find a good reason to. It is definitely one of my favorite classes and yours as well too. So but anyway, mine is the USRA Ironman stock cars are going to be back in session this coming weekend for a 3-day swing themselves. So May 2nd at Fairmont and then May 3rd at Sports Park Raceway. Do you know where
Is
that
that
is?
is that Fort Dodge?
Yeah, I think
I think
so.
that's where that big 100K stock car show is supposed to
Okay.
be.
Okay. Okay. Ooh, some practice maybe. And then Mason City on Sunday. And those are all 1200 to win, we think. But so solid 3-day swing for some halfway decent money for the USRA stock cars. So
And
um
they were supposed to race this past weekend too, but unfortunately weather kind of got them there. So
yeah. I'll be curious to see too, because I don't think they're gonna be running stock cars at uh Mississippi Thunder, obviously.
no,
I don't think they're
it'd
on the
be
card.
cool if they were though.
Yeah. And then I don't know what Deer Creek's doing. I don't think Deer Creek will run modifieds. I don't even know if Deer Creek's running, to be honest with you. Actually, they're not. I think I went and looked. They're not. So
Oh,
there
so there
could
you
be a
go.
lot of, yeah, there could be a lot of guys down there. So right on. So yeah. Anyway, we like the stock cars. Whenever we can find a good reason to work them in, we like to. So, uh, but anyway, I think that's everything, Carter.
Yeah, I got nothing else. So
All right. Well, we appreciate y'all for sticking out another episode. Next week's gonna be pretty rad. I can't wait to talk about going to. If you get rained out again, is there a chance I see you?
it depends when they rain out, but there I could, yeah. Although I
Oh,
feel like there might be a lot more people there this time. Might be a lot harder to
uh,
get a seat.
well, I
So
mean, I can save you one anyway. I've already got a whole crew with me. We'll just spread out till you get there. I'm bringing the
it
whole fam and my
depends
buddies.
depends what else rains out too. I mean, if I can drive 30 minutes to 141, I may just end up doing that.
You make a good point anyway. Well, a man can dream. But anyway, all right, with that, I think everyone, thank you for making it this long. We really appreciate you. If you are here, absolutely drop a like, please. And we'll see y'all next week.
See ya.